Vehicles are prohibited on walking paths, Mr. Liu. Evelyn steps in front of the scooter. Michael doesn't brake. This is a mobility device. He taps the ADA placard. Federal law trumps HOA rules. Evelyn's lips thin. Our bylaws are unconstitutional. Michael pulls out his phone. Shall we test that in court? I never imagined that moving to Willow Creek, a pristine, gated community with manicured lawns and quiet streets, would thrust me into a legal showdown straight out of a courtroom drama. My name is Michael Liu. I'm 58 years old, a retired district attorney with 3 decades of experience locking away criminals. 2 years ago, a car accident left me with limited mobility. Now I rely on an electric wheelchair for longer distances. I thought retirement would bring peace, but in Willow Creek, peace was a fantasy, especially with someone like Evelyn Harper running the Homeowners Association. The neighbors called her the HOA tyrant behind her back, and it didn't take long to see why. From the moment I moved in, Evelyn had a problem with everything. My wheelchair ramp, built to code and approved by the city, was, in her words, an eyesore that disrupts the neighborhood's uniform aesthetic. My adaptive garden, designed for accessibility, was apparently a violation of landscape cohesion. She once left a note on my door that read, "Please consider how your choices affect the harmony of our environment." But her real obsession wasn't the ramp or the garden, it was my electric wheelchair. She insisted it was an unauthorized vehicle when I used it on the community's walking trails, paths I had every right to access. Our first real confrontation happened one crisp fall morning. I was enjoying the breeze, gliding along the trail near the duck pond, when Evelyn appeared like a specter from behind a tree. She wore a navy blue pantsuit, a gold name badge pinned to her lapel, and carried her omnipresent clipboard like it was the Constitution. "Mr. Liu," she said, her voice chirpy, but her tone icy. "Vehicles are not permitted on the path." I eased to a stop and looked her in the eye. "This is a mobility device, Evelyn, protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act, not a golf cart." She clicked her pen and jotted something down. "Our bylaws make no exceptions for motorized personal transportation. These are walking paths. For walking." I smiled. "You might want to look up federal law. It tends to trump HOA newsletters." I rolled past her, but I could feel her glare burn into my back. That was the spark. Over the next few weeks, she escalated. First came the so-called friendly reminders, folded notices in my mailbox citing imaginary infractions, wheelchair track marks on the sidewalk, disruptive motor noise, and excessive presence on shared grounds. She even emailed the entire community reminding them that HOA integrity begins with individual accountability. Then she called a special HOA meeting. The topic? Motorized devices in common areas. I attended naturally. I wore a suit and brought a folder full of legal documentation. When it was my turn to speak, I rose slowly, hands resting on the arms of my wheelchair. "Let's be clear," I said, projecting so the whole room could hear. "This isn't about safety or community values. This is about harassment. The ADA, Section 12,101, guarantees my right to equal access. That includes mobility devices in shared spaces. I brought copies of federal rulings if anyone needs clarification." There was a beat of silence. Then several board members nodded, murmuring among themselves. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Her hands gripped the clipboard like it might save her from drowning. "We'll need to consult our legal counsel," she muttered, retreating. After the meeting, as I unlocked my front gate, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. "Evelyn, you think you're clever," she hissed, "quoting laws, embarrassing me in front of the board. But the rules are there for a reason, and you will follow them like everyone else." I turned to her calmly. "I always follow the rules, Evelyn, the enforceable ones. That was when she truly declared war. For the next 3 months, Evelyn launched a siege. She recorded videos of me leaving and entering my driveway. She photographed my wheelchair, filed formal complaints, and even claimed my presence caused excessive wear on the communal sidewalks. One morning, I found a notice taped to my door stating that my wheelchair violated noise ordinances. My electric chair makes less sound than a ceiling fan. I documented everything. Every email, every flyer, every twisted accusation. I had thick binders labeled and time-stamped. Years of building airtight court cases had taught me the value of paper trails. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a Wednesday. I was heading to the community center to attend a veterans group breakfast. But when I powered on my wheelchair, nothing happened. No lights, no beeps. Assuming a mechanical issue, I called a technician. He arrived within an hour, examined the chair, and frowned. "Sir," he said slowly, "this wasn't a mechanical failure. Someone tampered with the control panel and rewired the battery connections. This wasn't an accident, it was intentional." I stared at him, heart pounding. The charging station was outside, tucked under my carport. My front security camera didn't cover it, but my neighbor Clara had installed a new surveillance system after her packages kept getting stolen. I called her immediately. "Clara," I said, "is there any chance your cameras caught someone near my house last night?" Her voice crackled with excitement. "Michael, I was literally about to call you. You're not going to believe this." She sent me the footage. It was crystal clear. Evelyn Harper, dressed in dark clothing and wearing gloves, creeping around my property at 2:04 a.m. She held a small flashlight and a toolkit. The footage showed her kneeling near the charging station for 7 minutes before slinking away, glancing behind her. This wasn't HOA harassment. This was a crime. I contacted the police and handed over the footage and the technician's report. The responding officer, a man I'd worked with during my time as a DA, was furious. "Given your disability and the intentional tampering, we're pursuing this as a hate crime against a disabled individual," he said firmly. Then I wrote an email to the entire HOA board. I included the video, the technician's statement, and cited every state and federal statute Evelyn had violated. "As a former officer of the court," I wrote, "I am stunned by the extent of these actions, which now endanger both my safety and the HOA's legal liability. Immediate action is required." The board didn't hesitate. 3 members called to personally apologize. They scheduled an emergency meeting, and 2 days later, during the monthly book club gathering at Evelyn's home, 2 squad cars pulled up to her curb. I watched from my porch as the officers approached. Neighbors clutched mugs of tea and paperback novels, whispering as Evelyn stepped out in her floral blouse and pearls. "This is outrageous," she shouted as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. "I'm the president of this community. I've won awards." She was charged with criminal mischief, trespassing, tampering with a mobility device, property damage exceeding $1,000, and reckless endangerment of a disabled person, a potential felony in our state. To avoid conflict of interest, I recused myself and requested an independent prosecutor. 3 months later, her trial began. Her attorney tried to negotiate a plea deal. The prosecutor, an old colleague of mine and a fierce advocate for disability rights, refused. The evidence was overwhelming. The footage, the tampering report, the months of documented harassment. My testimony only clarified motive and pattern. The judge, a no-nonsense woman I'd once co-chaired a legal panel with, didn't hold back. "Ms. Harper," she said sternly from the bench, "your actions reflect an alarming abuse of authority. You targeted a disabled resident under the guise of enforcing community standards. You deliberately endangered his safety and dignity." Evelyn sat motionless as the sentence was read. 18 months in prison, 3 years of probation, a $15,000 fine, and 200 hours of community service at a local disability support center. As she was led away, her face pale, her designer scarf clashing with the steel cuffs, the courtroom fell silent. The HOA tyrant had finally been stripped of her power. The fallout was swift. Willow Creek became a battleground of whispers and debates. Some residents claimed Evelyn had only been upholding order and had been unfairly vilified. But the majority, especially those who had been on the receiving end of her intimidation, felt a profound sense of relief. "I finally put up my solar panels," said Mr. Patel down the block. "She threatened to fine me every week before. Now, not a word." Clara got her yard regraded without the weekly notices, and the Hendersons repainted their front door red, something Evelyn had fought for 6 months. The board appointed a new interim president, a soft-spoken woman named Marlene, who immediately called for a full review of the HOA's bylaws and oversight procedures. "We forgot that this is a neighborhood," she said at the next meeting, "not a dictatorship." As for me, I returned to my routine, gardening, reading on my porch, and helping veterans with disability claims. My wheelchair charger is now inside, behind a locked gate with motion sensors. But every so often, someone new moves in and asks about the Evelyn story, and I just smile. "Let's just say," I tell them, "sometimes justice rolls on 4 wheels." If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories. Your support allows us to keep delivering valuable insights and stories that inform and inspire people everywhere. Thank you for watching Work Story, and see you in the next one.